Shloshim Yom Kodem HaChag, and reaching closer every moment towards the awesome redemption of Egypt, which takes place every single year on the 15th of Nisan. Haba Aleinu L'Tova, Yom Tov in Yisrael. Yom Tov, the first time we find the word Tov in the Torah is by the word Or, Vayhi Or, V'ar Elokim Asa Or Ki Tov. Every Yom Tov is an opportunity to tap into that Or, which is revealed on that particular Yom Tov in its unique facet, with its unique light. As we're going towards redemption, we're going to take the opportunity here for a minute to focus on the loss of a leader. Chaim Kanievsky, of course, just passed away, and I haven't really spent much time speaking openly about what it feels like, because I'm not sure that I know how to process it myself. Not that I was particularly close with Reb Chaim, or I was in the same room as him once or twice in my life, and I have a bunch of his svarim, and I've learned, especially his svarim on Seder Zerayim, have been very helpful in my own Talmud Torah. But and a few times on the Yerushalmi, he has a wonderful commentary on the Yerushalmi. But aside from that, far be it for me to call myself a direct Talmud, except for the fact that the Gemara says that every single Jew, man, woman, and child, is a Talmud of the Gedolei Hador. And so even the dinim of Kriya, of tearing one's garments, are somewhat in effect, or at least there's a discussion about that, when a Gadol B'Yisrael passes away. So there's a piece from Rav Kook in Midbar Shor. If you want to look it up inside, you could see it on page 341, 342, where Rav Kook talks about the loss of Nadav and Avihu in the Parsha. And he cites the pasuk Moshe Rabbeinu tells Aaron and Eliezer and Itamar, his children, Roshechem al tifro uvigdechem lo tifromu, don't allow your hair to grow long, don't tear your garments, leave that for the rest of Am Yisrael. V'achichem kol bnei Yisrael yivku es hasreif asher saraf Hashem. The rest of the Jewish people can cry and mourn in the regular externalized versions of mourning, but leave that for them. You shouldn't mourn. And the way that we normally understand that is that the Kohanim are charged, as Ishbitzer points out in Meshilach, that the Kohanim are charged with not, God forbid, leading the world to a place of having complaints against Hashem, ta'arumas against Hashem. The Eved Hashem, especially those who work in the Beis Hashem, are charged with making sure that there's never complaints against Shemayim. And so therefore they're not supposed to become Tamei Meis, as Ishbitzer points out in Parshas Emor. And part of the non-mourning and non-becoming Tamei Meis is that they should never be exposed to the hardships, the cruelties of the human condition, so as to preserve their innocence on a certain level. Rav Kook actually kind of inverts the paradigm a little bit and says something which is really remarkable, that I think has a strong undercurrent message in terms of the loss of a Gadol B'Yisrael. But I understand that this Chevra now is preparing for Pesach and has undertaken to try every day to learn a little bit something about going from Avdus to Cheres, and I think this bears on that as well. So Rav Kook explains that really there's two different things that a person has to grapple with whenever there's a loss. There's a loss of a Gadol B'Yisrael, and Nadav and Avihu are nostalgic from the world, so there's really two things that are lost. Number one is the pu'ulos of the tzaddik, the particular actions that could be pointed to that this particular tzaddik did at particular times in a very particular way. And that's something which is very tangible. The number of books that have been written, the ability to answer thousands of letters, the goodly acts of the tzaddik, the charitable acts of the tzaddik. These are things that are pu'ulos of the tzaddik that a person is able to look at. And then Rav Kook says that there's a second level, which is the segula of the tzaddik. Not what the tzaddik does, but what the tzaddik is. And that segula of the tzaddik is ineffable. It's impossible to express. And so Rav Kook actually inverts the injunction to the Kohanim that they're not supposed to mourn externally, not grow out their hair, not tear their garments, but rather to leave those external forms of mourning for the nation, because really the job of the Kohanim, who are Shlucha Didan and Shlucha D'Rachmana, who are charged with that awesome task of bringing Shemayim and Arts together, so they are uniquely situated in a place where they're able to see the segula of the tzaddik, who the tzaddik really is, that ineffable white fire of the tzaddik's existence here on earth, and not to be tracked by the black fire of existence. In Rabbi Nachman's famous story of the 7 beggars, each of the beggars has a different defect. One beggar is blind, another beggar has a crooked neck, a beggar with no hands, and each of the beggars explain that in fact it's not that I can't see, but rather that my vision is so perfect that it's not fit to be revealed here in this world. And it's not that my neck is crooked, but my voice is just so perfect that it can't be expressed properly in this world. And my siyadayim are so perfect that it can't be expressed out here in this world. So there's something ineffable in every tzaddik that in addition to their maisim, in addition to their pu'ulos, there's also the segula. And the segula is that which is so perfect that nobody's really some lave on it. Nobody can really place exactly the marker on what it is that this person is bringing to the world. And so obviously the mourning of a tzaddik has 2 parts. There's the part of the remembering and talking about what the tzaddik did, and then in addition to that, there's the silence. The main part of mourning is really not being able to say anything, and that's tapping into the segula, and that's what the Kohanim are instructed to do. Not to not mourn, but dafka to have this higher expression of mourning, which is not expressed in words. This is true, Mida Tova Meruba, this is true in the opposite direction as well, that B'Mida Tova, in a good way, redemption also has 2 parts. There is the physical revelation of redemption, wherein the Jewish people are excised from Egypt. Hashem, as the Medrash describes, Ki'ilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu reached into the womb of a nation and pulled out the calf that was stuck inside, that Hashem removed us from this bondage, this slavery of Mitzrayim. And that's a physical thing that we could point to, which happened at a particular time, in a particular place, through a series of particular makos. And that is what we would call the pu'ulos of Yitzias Mitzrayim. But in addition to the pu'ulos of Yitzias Mitzrayim, there's also the segula of Yitzias Mitzrayim. And this is what Chazal mean when they say that bechol dor v'dor, and every single year, and as the Alter Rebbe pointed out in Shulchan Aruch Harav, that a person should say bechol yom v'yom. A person has to see themselves ki'ilu yatzmu Mitzrayim. It means that there's something ineffable about the Yitzias Mitzrayim experience which cannot be characterized by a mere set of, here is exactly what happened. But rather, there's a certain sense of the redemptive quality that Hashem revealed to the world, which is not effable. It's not something that we could describe with words, but it's something that continues to operate the Hester throughout all the generations, and really every single day is coming down in a very strong way. That ineffable quality is part of the reason, perhaps, I was thinking, that the entire Pesach Seder has to go in a derech of question and answer format. There's a Sheila and Shuva format to the Seder. And part of the reason for that is because the only way to really express what it is that Hashem is revealing to the world is to say, Man Ishtana. I can't, Man Ishtana I can't, there's no, okay, afterwards we could try to give an answer. But like Rabbi Nachman explained in the first Torah in Sichas Haran, the first thing is to recognize that Gadol Hashem is so great, it's not something that I could describe. It's something which is undescribable. Man Ishtana is not just a question that gives an answer, but Manishtana is the statement of the fact that we mamish don't know. There is no answer. After we acknowledge that there's no answer, we could say things that are kain an answer. We could say things that are sort of like an answer. But that's all part of the segula of Mitzrayim, the ongoing segula of Mitzrayim, which is Hotzi L'Poel B'chol Dor V'Dor, and is Mosif V'Holech every single generation, every single day, with greater vigor. Hashem should continue to reveal the koach of Be'ula and B'Poel, that we should be able to have more active, tangible expressions of that geula, but to recognize that there's always a deeper level of the segula, which Hashem is continuously revealing. And